My wife abandoned our family to join a no relationships allowed cult with her friends, and years later, she came back expecting to be welcomed with open arms. I, 29 male, got married 6 years ago, but have been divorced for 3 years now. I have 2 sons with my ex-wife, Ashley, 30 female, age 4 and 5. But I have full custody of them since she didn't want to be bogged down because of her family. She and I were happily married for 3 years, had 2 beautiful kids, and were even planning on buying our own house so we could move out from the apartment we lived in when she suddenly hit me with a, "I want to be single and explore the world right now." We'd been together since high school, so we were all we knew. She was my first everything, and I was hers, so I always assumed that for us, it was a together forever kind of thing. She was fine with not having been with enough people other than me, but after 3 years of being married, she told me that she wasn't happy and wanted us both to be free of this burden, talking about our marriage and our family, so we could live our lives to the fullest. It was all weird, free-thinker talk like my mom would refer to it, and I didn't understand any of it because I thought she loved me. And she insisted that she did love me, but she also loved herself, apparently, and wanted to give herself a fair chance to explore the world. I even suggested opening up our marriage temporarily, no matter how much it hurt me, just so I could make sure that she stayed married to me and didn't actually leave. But she wasn't into that idea and was hell-bent on getting divorced so that both of us could do this the right way. I was heartbroken after that discussion because it had literally come from nowhere. When I started crying in front of her, she told me that it'll all be fine and to have faith in our love because if we were meant to be, then she'd find her way back. It was ridiculous and unfair, but that's how our marriage ended. One fine day, she just decided to pack her bags and leave so she could explore the world and be on her own for a while, leaving me and her 2 kids behind without giving a damn about what would happen to us. I'd even asked her what she thought was going to happen to the kids, and she suggested that I leave them with someone I trust, and then I should go explore the world, travel, meet new people, and live a generally adventurous life as well so I could grow. I was stunned because as far as I'm concerned, if we bring kids into this world, then it's our responsibility to make sure we raise them well, protect them, and meet all their needs. As a parent, you literally cannot and should not go running off to travel the world, leaving your kids behind, and that's what convinced me that she was completely off her rocker at the time. So I didn't fight the divorce anymore and didn't contest it. The settlement was easy since she didn't want anything and was ready to give it all up. Her parents were loaded, so the alimony and child support weren't a big issue either. She got visitation rights, but she rarely ever visited, and even when she would, she'd make me drop the kids off at her parents' place and then wait in another room so she could meet them without being reminded of the past. But even those visits stopped after the first couple of months. I found out the real reason behind the change in her behavior a lot later from a friend of mine, Ryan, who happened to have a couple of friends in common with Ashley. Ryan's cousin happened to be part of the friend circle that Ashley had been influenced by, and he's the one who told me about them about 2 months after the divorce. I don't blame him for not telling me earlier because he and his cousin weren't exactly close, so he hadn't found out about the truth until after the divorce was done with. Besides, even if I did know the truth, it wouldn't have changed anything about the divorce anyway. Ryan's cousin, according to what he told me, led a very promiscuous, wild, and adventurous lifestyle. Not just him, but his entire friend group of about 6 or 7 women believed that we shouldn't be tied down by relationships and had made a pact to remain single. Ashley had been introduced to this friend circle by a coworker of hers who believed that she'd get along well with these women, even though she wasn't single and couldn't be part of that school of thought, given that she was married with 2 kids at that point. But Ryan's cousin had bragged to him and a couple of other family members that they'd managed to convert a woman into believing that she didn't need to stay with her husband and kids, that she apparently needed to shed this dead weight so she could move on and do better in life. And that's what she'd done by divorcing her husband and giving up custody of her kids so she could finally fully commit to their ideology. She'd been bragging about the like-minded status of their group and how they'd managed to turn someone into one of them, which meant that there was definitely something powerful and compelling about their beliefs. So Ryan, out of curiosity, had asked his cousin what this woman looked like because he wanted to know what kind of person would just abandon her family because of what her new friend said, especially a married woman with 2 kids. Then, when his cousin pointed to Ashley in a group photo they'd taken, he put 2 and 2 together and texted me about it literally as soon as he was out of the event. This had all taken place at a family gathering of his, and once that was done with, he immediately asked me if I was willing to meet him. Thankfully, I'd said yes, so he'd rushed over to my apartment and spilled the beans on what had happened with Ashley. To say that I'd been furious would be an understatement when I learned what the real reason behind my wife's decision to leave had been. She'd done this to fit into some stupid group and to be seen as a person who was brave and adventurous and stuff. She'd left her husband and kids behind for something like that. When I got to know the real reason behind her ridiculous behavior, I honestly felt like I would have been happier if she'd just slept with another man. At least it would have been a more respectable reason to end her marriage and abandon her children, but this just didn't cut it. I wanted to call her and curse her out, but didn't because after learning the real reason for her departure, I was convinced that she was just crazy. There were no 2 ways about it, and there was also no point in hoping that maybe saying or doing something would make her change her mind. It wouldn't, and I knew that now. So I just decided to make the best of my circumstances and raise my sons to be better men than their mother had been. I also worked harder at my own job and made sure they never felt abandoned. I hired a nanny and started working twice as hard at the office, so I wouldn't have to bring the office home with me. And as soon as I'd come back home, all my time would be spent with my kids. My parents helped out a lot, and occasionally even my ex-in-laws tried to help, but kept it to a minimum, probably out of shame for what their daughter had done. They were the ones who were paying the child support installments every month, and I knew it because from what I'd heard, Ashley was busy blowing all her money on trips to exotic locations at high-end hotels. Now that she had no family to think of, she could spend all her money on crap like that, and nobody would bat an eye. I raised my kids to the best of my abilities, and now I have 2 sweet, obedient, and adorable little girls who love me and each other. We're all the family we need, and I've pretty much pushed my marriage out of my mind altogether because that was just annoying to think of. I've also paid my dues at work, so now I'm in a great position and earn double the amount I used to earlier. I've been doing great for the last 2 years, and I didn't think I had anything to worry about anymore. Until last week, when Ashley finally showed up after almost 3 years of being completely AWOL. My kids and I were at home since it was a Sunday. We have enough money to buy our own house now, but I've stayed in the same apartment since I really love this place, and it's convenient for the commute to work as well. Clearly, I should have moved because, unfortunately, since I'd remained in the same place, Ashley knew where to find me. She just showed up at our door randomly that day, and I think it must have knocked the wind out of me to see her after almost 3 years.